How many homes do you think the biggest builder in Kansas City builds every single year? If you take a look at this article from the Kansas City Business Journal, it looked at data from 2021, 354 homes. Summit Homes coming in that number one spot and building almost one home for every single day of the year. Now, I just had a client who closed on one of those homes, not in 2021, but just a couple weeks ago. In this video, we're gonna break down how the process worked. Like, what can you expect? You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a brand new home. Is it going to be perfect? What kind of customer service can you expect? And what are some of the advantages? So we're going to cover 5 of those advantages, but overall the process was buttery smooth, and here's why. Number 1, promotions. They often have them, and you can get some pretty good deals on these homes, which we'll talk about a little bit more at the end of this video. But 2 of the ones that Summit was running at the time my clients went under contract, which was like July 2023. Again, these are subject to change, and I'll say this a couple more times. The first one, and this seemed to be pretty consistent, it seemed like they run this quite often, was a $10,000 incentive. So basically, if you go under contract to build or buy one of their new homes, they'll give you $10,000. What you can do is you can take that money, use it however you want. So if you want to buy down your mortgage rate, if you want to pay down your closing costs, get blinds, a fence, the things that new construction homes don't come with, you can easily use that money and shave some of your costs right off the top. The second option, and this is the one that my clients elected to go with, is a 5.5% mortgage rate. That's right, a 5.5% mortgage rate in a world where most mortgage rates are like 6.8, 6.9%. Like, we were really watching the rates because it was at a time when they were just really starting to spike up. And right before we went under contract, they really took a fall downward. So this mortgage rate incentive meant that we didn't have to worry about the pinballing back and forth. Now, the one condition, of course, is that you've got to work with Silverton Mortgage. So a Silverton Mortgage, Summit Homes, they're both under Berkshire Hathaway. So they're basically part of the same company. You'll read in articles online, at least for builders across the country, that sometimes when you work with their lenders, that it makes it look like there are cost savings up front, but they add those costs in the back end. That was not the case here. And the way you can make sure is you can have a totally separate lender give you a quote so you can see the costs, and then you can compare it to the quote from like a Silverton Mortgage or any other builder's lender. And that's exactly what we did. So 5.5% mortgage rate or $10,000 credit. Those were the 2 incentives being offered at the time. And that's a huge bonus in a world where, we've got the housing shortage going on, bidding wars happening, people overpaying for homes. This is definitely just a breath of fresh air. Number 2, and this is one of the benefits of working with a production builder, which is they've constantly got homes going under construction that are move-in ready. And if you need to move in a very quick timeline, like my clients did, they had just sold their home in Texas, you need to move in like 30 days or less, and you want a new home. This is one of the things that I would look for, is a builder who constantly has new homes available and move-in ready. Usually, if you're under contract on the sale of your home, you can't buy a home until yours closes. Usually they'll opt for something like a close contingency, which is exactly what we had happen here. Now compare that to older homes right now, where sellers are basically getting everything that they could want, and usually $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over what they're asking. So again, it's like a big breath of fresh air that you've got somebody who's willing to work with you, willing to negotiate with you, and you've got quite a few options to choose from. So on the screen, I'll put all the different locations that Summit is currently building homes in. Usually, of course, this always changes, but usually you can find something that's good to go 30 days or less if you are on a tight timeline. If you do want to build, that's certainly an option. They've got several lots available in pretty much all of their communities. Now, one last word on these move-in ready homes. Nobody wants a product sitting on the shelf, and builders are no different. So unless it's like a model home and they're using that to demonstrate what the other new homes look like in the area, usually they're motivated to get these sold. So either you can try your hand at negotiating a really good deal, or you can take them up on one of those 2 promotions. But again, that you're getting someone who's willing to work with you here and wanting to make it easy, which is not the case usually when it comes to older homes, at least right now with how competitive the market is. Number 3 is that they've got a wide range of prices. So I'm going to go quick through this one. Summit and Clover and Hive are basically the same company. They're not the same, they're different brands, but they're all owned by Berkshire Hathaway. So we've already made a video on Clover and Hive. Very similar product. You can expect similar quality and similar customer experience. So I'll link the video to Clover and Hive down in the description. Their prices are usually $300 to maybe the mid 400s. They build single family homes and townhomes, but usually Realty, they're like 1,500 square feet and all the way up to just a little over 2,000. So the contrast is that with Summit Homes, they're usually building your more substantial single family home. So we're talking around 2,400 square feet and probably all the way up to 3,000, 3,500, some of your bigger homes that you'll see on the market. So their prices are usually the mid 400s. I've seen them go all the way up over $1 million. So the home that you're seeing on the screen right now, I think this was in the mid or lower 800s. So this was their model where they're going all out. They're doing the highest finishes, but usually you can find a pretty good quality product. The home my clients got looked great inside and out at a pretty reasonable price, at least when compared to other cities around the Kansas City area. Number 4 is the appraisal. So this is a benefit that's kind of specific to Summit Homes, but I've noticed it with builders around the Kansas City area and especially with new homes in general. So the appraisals are often just an absolute breeze. And one main reason for this is because it's a subdivision. You've got a lot of other new homes around that have probably sold in similar square footage, possibly the same exact floor plan, and usually at higher prices. So if somebody went in and did a lot of customizations in that home, that's going to be reflected on the appraisal. Some will increase value, some won't, but if you're going and buying a move-in ready home, that can definitely bump you up in terms of the value of the property that you just purchased. So that's one thing that I've seen. Again, I've seen this in Lee Summit, I've seen it in Overland Park now. You purchase the home at X price, the appraisal comes back $15,000, $20,000 over. Not guaranteed, but it's definitely a benefit. And that's what happened in this situation. My clients, the appraisal came back $20,000 over, which is a huge benefit, right? You don't have to worry about appraisal issues, which when it comes to older homes, most people are waiving or covering that appraisal gap, which is just crazy to think about because the sellers know that whoever's buying it are overpaying for that home. So you don't have to deal with that when it comes to new homes. And oftentimes you're going to walk into a decent bit of equity. Not guaranteed, but it's much more likely with new, especially compared to old, at least with this housing shortage craziness happening right now. Number 5, this one is by far the most important one, at least to me, because when I buy something, especially if it's something as expensive as a house, right? When you're spending $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, you want good customer service, right? You deserve good customer service. And the same way that I try to deliver above and beyond for every single one of my clients, I do expect that the other side does that as well. And that was absolutely the experience here. So 2 things to know about when you're purchasing a new construction home that's already complete is that you will still do the punch list walkthrough. So basically 2 weeks, a couple weeks before close, after the inspection has already happened, if you do choose to do an inspection, you'll go ahead, you'll walk through the home with the builder's superintendent or the builder. You'll tape up everything that needs to be addressed. Anything on this inspection report that the builder's responsible for fixing, they'll put together on a punch list. And then usually, this is the second big thing to know about, usually the contract will say, well, since the date of that punch list or from the closing date, they've got 60 days to remedy those things. So not only did Isaiah, the superintendent, go in before us and tape everything up, we did our due diligence, we followed up, we caught a couple of things that weren't noticed before, but everybody will when you're walking through a new house. You walk through it 100 times, you're always going to catch something new every single time. So not only did he go in, make it really smooth, super easy for us, the house was built well, there wasn't much for them to address, but number 2 is everything that they did address, they did it before the close date. And we had a fairly quick close. So that's super convenient. It's even better when you're, moving across state. Summit Homes in general was great. They were very flexible with the schedule. They allowed us to close a whole day early. Again, juggling quite a bit when you're moving from like a Texas to a Kansas City. So that was absolutely welcomed. Now, a couple disclosures and then some final thoughts. Number 1 is that the incentives, the discounts that we talked about, I can't guarantee those. They change throughout the year. Price drops happen and they're subject to change at any time. So feel free to reach out to me and I can confirm the most up-to-date information for you. All my contact info is down in that description below. Number 2 is the appraisal stuff that we talked about. Again, I do think that it is way easier when you're doing an appraisal to get the new home appraised. Oftentimes it'll come back above the purchase price, which is excellent, but I can't guarantee that. Again, I do think it's more probable that that happens to the new home, especially when compared to older homes in this specific market. This is based off of purchasing one of their move-in ready homes. So if you happen to have a different experience with Summit, if you happen to build a home and maybe there were some issues with the process, I can't quite speak to that, and that's not quite what I'm speaking to in this video. Moreover, it was the customer service from the home being complete, closing on it. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. There are definitely some instances. Each builder's different. Each builder has different processes and systems and different ways of communicating, but sometimes there will be a little bit more work that you have to do on your end. Summit seemed to go above and beyond to remove that work, take it off of our shoulders, and made it super smooth. So I know somebody's gonna be down in the comments below saying, of course, you're going to say these things. You're a salesperson. And yes, I am, but work with Summit Homes or don't. I think the value of this video is kind of knowing what to expect when working with them, right? If you're interested in new construction, maybe more specifically, you're interested in Summit Homes. Hopefully you found this video valuable. If you did, make sure to hit that like button below. Subscribe to the channel for real estate market updates and Kansas City real estate information. Of course, if you're in the market for a new construction home, one of my favorite things. I love new construction. I've been around it. I grew up around it. My dad's a builder. And if you think we'd be a good fit, make sure to reach out and we can get out into the field and walk through some of these homes and really dial down your criteria and get to work on finding you a phenomenal deal. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you on the next one.